You know, living with a chronic eye disease, it can really feel like you're trying to walk on shifting ground. In this explainer, we're going to dive into some small, repeatable, spiritual rhythms that can offer real stability. And this isn't about miracle cures. It's about what seniors say actually help them cope day in and day out. Does that quote hit home? If you're living with vision loss, you know exactly what this means. It's that constant, exhausting calculation. Every single blur, every shadow, it turns into a forecast for the future. You're just always assessing, always adapting, always trying to predict what's next.
And look, I really want to be crystal clear about this right from the get-go. If you are feeling that anxiety, that grief, or that fear, it does not mean you're lacking faith or being dramatic. It just means you're human. You're having a totally normal human response to a really profound change in your life.
So this math of vision loss thing, it's incredibly emotional, right? It's all about grieving for the sight you once had, fearing what the next doctor's appointment might bring, and grappling with a potential loss of independence. I mean, things we take for granted, like driving, reading, or even just recognizing faces.
A man in his late 70s once described his experience with that exact phrase, and it's just, wow, it's so powerfully honest. It perfectly captures that feeling that a piece of your future, the one you had all planned out, has been put away somewhere you can no longer see it. So when people say, oh, faith helps, what do we actually mean by that in this context? Let's try shifting the goal. This is not about achieving some perfect state of constant peace or calm. No, it's about finding small ways to keep fear from steering the entire day.
And just take a look at this contrast, because it's so important. Real help wasn't found in pretending everything was fine or demanding certainty. Nope. Instead, it came from real companionship, from having a place to put the fear, and from finding a sense of meaning to help endure the hard stuff. It's all about support, not a solo performance.
Okay, so let's get really practical here. We're going to look at 7 patterns for finding that steadier ground. And the key here is that these are small, simple rhythms. They're the kind that are robust enough to survive even on a really, really bad day.
Here they are, the 7 patterns. And you'll find these across many different traditions, but they all share one thing: simplicity. We're talking about short, one-sentence prayers that fit into real life, or embracing audio resources to give your eyes a much-needed rest, or finding a community that supports you without feeling like another project. The people who found the most stability had simple routines they could actually stick with.
Now here is a perfect example of what I mean. Hold me while I do this. One woman used these 7 simple words every single time she had to use her eye drops. It's not a big theological speech, it's a handrail. It's portable, it's honest, and it offers comfort right in the moment you need it most.
Okay, this next point is huge. For anyone with low vision, trying to read tiny fonts on a screen can feel like a daily battle, and it's just so frustrating. Switching to audio, whether that's scripture, guided meditations, or even just hymns, it makes your spiritual practice accessible again. It removes a major source of frustration from your day.
So, how do we actually weave these patterns into our day-to-day life? Let's build a routine you can start using immediately. You don't need to change your whole personality or have a perfect morning. You just need a simple plan that can actually survive real life.
Yeah, just look at that. 3 minutes. That is it. When our anxiety is high, our brains resist anything that feels complicated. A 3-minute routine has a super low startup cost, which makes it so much easier to do consistently. And you know what? That consistency is what builds steadiness over time.
So here's one great option that requires absolutely no reading. It's called a breath prayer. The magic here is its predictability. You just focus on that simple, repeatable rhythm of your breath and a short phrase. By doing that, you're giving your nervous system a predictable cue to downshift and calm itself down.
Okay, now it's just as important to talk about what not to do, because believe it or not, some of the things we think are helping can actually backfire and make our anxiety even worse. So let's look at a few common traps to avoid. So, the big question you have to ask yourself is this: is what I'm doing bringing me comfort, or is it just adding more pressure? Comfort prayers feel like you're being accompanied. They're grounded and compassionate. Pressure prayers, on the other hand, feel like you're being graded, like you have to perform perfectly to get a result. And that second kind, it almost always sends anxiety through the roof. This is such a game-changing way to think about things. You can't control the results of your next scan. You can't control the timeline of your healing, but you can control your inputs, things like showing up for your appointments, taking your drops, and keeping one small calming routine. Focusing on your inputs, well, as the source material says, it's sanity with a seatbelt.
You know, the fastest way to make your anxiety shoot up is to turn your faith into some kind of scoreboard where you can fail. So don't use it to try and skip over your feelings, because grief needs to be felt. Don't treat a blurry day as some kind of sign of spiritual failure. And please don't let social media algorithms curate your hope with a bunch of viral stories that just lead to painful comparison.
And hey, for all you caregivers listening out there, this one is so important. A lot of the time, how you sound is way more important than the specific words you say. Your calm, steady tone can literally act as a nervous system handrail for your loved one, offering them stability in a moment of fear or uncertainty.
Okay, so let's put it all together into this simple, repeatable loop. You start with the cue, like always sitting in the same chair. Then you do your 3-minute practice. You can ground yourself with a tactile anchor like a smooth stone in your pocket, and then aim for 1 point of human connection each week. This loop reinforces comfort over pressure, and it helps you reclaim your day.
And that really brings us to the end here. The goal isn't to do everything we talked about all at once. It's just to find one small thing you can do to find a little bit of steadier ground. So, looking at everything we've covered, what's your one doable next step?